adventures. Enjoy the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Tasting great since 48. Look for Mountain Dew in stores near you at mountaindew.com. That's mountaindew.com.
This is Ed from Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales. Our family has trucked hay to feed the hungry animals in Western Washington for 4 generations. In that time, we have built a growing legacy of serving the needs of our customers, and we've never stopped. In 2014, we ventured into the equipment world by becoming a dealer and service provider for Mahindra tractors. Since then, we have partnered with quality brands such as Bad Boy, Aaron's Gravely, LS Tractor, Husqvarna, Snake River Trailers, and now Wacker Neuson Construction Equipment. We have a 3-base shop where we not only service the brands we sell, but we also work on most major brands including Kubota, John Deere, and New Holland. We carry a wide variety of parts, filters, belts, and fluids. We have a fully stocked hydraulic shop and can build hoses for most machines while you wait. Chainsaw or weed eater needs some TLC, we work on small engines too. We even offer welding and fabrication services. We have been earning the Peninsula's trust for over 25 years with your animal's care. We look forward to earning your trust with your equipment's care too.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Down day for stocks today. That's as tension between the U.S. and Iran rose and crude oil prices gained. Stocks are off session lows, though. That's after minutes from the last Fed meeting showed Fed officials saw little reason to hike rates in June. At the same time, the minutes also showed officials growing concern about inflation. China reportedly plans to allow some of its biggest AI companies like Alibaba, TikTok owner ByteDance, and DeepSeek, to buy some NVIDIA H200 computer chips. That's according to a new report in The Information. And Delta Airlines dividing up the front of the plane into even smaller groups, offering a new basic business fare now and first class that comes without perks like free seat selection and airport lounge access. The seats go on sale today. That's for flights starting in September. They're only available in select markets. United made a similar move earlier this year. This report is sponsored by Vanguard Investor Choice, a proxy voting program for eligible Vanguard Index funds. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
What's as beautiful as a sunny summer day? A summer sale big enough to make you step inside Angela's Furniture for their huge Beauty Rest sale. Right now, you'll find the Beauty Rest Level 1 Medium Tight Top Queen Mattress for only $679. Step it up a notch to the Level 2 Medium Tight Top or Extra Firm Top Mattress for just $949. These deals aren't all they have in store either. Get the refreshing sleep you deserve today on your brand new Beauty Rest, only at Angela's Furniture.
Oh, what a beautiful morning.
Can it, Curly? We love the sun, but not this early. If you want to keep the rays out in the morning, the Blind Store by McCrory has a deal for you. During their summer sale, you'll save 25% off the best blinds in the industry, like Hunter Douglas, Graber, and Norman. You'll be singing a happy tune, but only when you're ready. Shop the Blind Store by McCrory's summer sale, going on now in Squim by the Licensing Depot.
News Radio KONP. Traffic and roads.
Right, not a lot of problems out there traffic-wise. Just a normal volume might be slowing you down in spots as a lunch crunch is here. We've got a little bit of extra volume in downtown Port Angeles, but nothing really slowing you down terribly there. Everything is pretty much wide open between Port Angeles and Squim. No reports of any accidents right now. Squim itself is also looking pretty good. No issues there. If you're heading farther down to the Hood Canal Bridge, scheduled closure of the bridge coming up in about an hour, and they could have the bridge shut down for a 30 to 60 minutes with that, so I take that into consideration today. Otherwise, it is open to traffic right now. Heading out west on 101 and 112. 101 out to Forks, looking good. 112 out to Clallam Bay, looking fine as well right now. No reports there of any accidents that might slow you down heading to the west end. The ferries are right now running all on time in the Seattle runs and the Port Townsend run as well. Weather forecast, partly sunny the rest of the day today, mid-60s to about 70. Going to see west winds picking up and gusting to 25 miles per hour this afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight, lows mid-40s to low 50s. Partly sunny for Thursday, mid-60s to low 70s again. And clouds and rain roll in by Friday. Friday's high is going to only reach about 60 degrees. Right now in Port Townsend, 59. Out west, Forks at 64 now. It's 61 in Squim and also 61 degrees out at Fairchild Airport here in Port Angeles.
Looking for a great Saturday night? Join Black Diamond Junction in their classic hits live at the Elwha River Casino this Saturday, 8 to 11. Dance the night away to your favorite classic hits from the 70s and 80s, performed by one of the Olympic Peninsula's favorite live bands. Bring your friends, hit the dance floor, make it a night to remember. And it's all free, no cover charge. That's Black Diamond Junction, live at the Elwha River Casino this Saturday night, 8 to 11 p.m. See you there.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
As someone who's been married nearly 25 years, I'll tell you, there's a lot of great things about having a spouse. And according to a new study out of the University of Miami Health System, marriage might even be linked to a lower risk of cancer. Why? Well, the researchers said people who are married are less likely to engage in risky behavior. They're more likely to get a nudge to go to regular preventive medicine appointments and screenings, and they have a partner to share the load of family obligations, household chores, and finances. No one is saying you should get married in the pursuit of better health. But if you are single, how can you build a strong support system to maybe get some of these same benefits? Do your own research, find out what's important, and then hold members of your squad accountable and let them hold you accountable as well. That can provide a lot of support. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. It's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. Our Civil War was a terrible time of suffering and hardship and death. But amidst all of that suffering, something very wonderful did happen in America. I'll tell you that story after this important message.
Hello, Jerry Stewart here with a word from Liberty Village. Everyone here at our studios are excited. Only 10 days now until our America's 250th anniversary party. For who? For all of us, we the people. Have you heard about Angel Studios Young Washington coming to local theaters starting July the 3rd? Liberty Village will benefit by tickets sold. Get your tickets now. Kelly and I have ours. Go now to libertyvillage.org/events and see what's coming, like the Founders in the Park July the 2nd, with fun for the whole family. And there'll also be colonial crafts, live historical interpreters like George Washington, and good old-fashioned fun for the whole family. Wow. So many things to do, but most of all, it's about our America, a 250-year birthday, and we are excited and ready to start. For more info, go to libertyvillage.org/events and start your preparation now. God bless America. Happy birthday, America. See you there.
Our Civil War was a terribly destructive time in our history, with literally hundreds of thousands of lives destroyed. But this fact you may not know. During that 5 years of our Civil War, one of the greatest religious revivals took place in America, and so many accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior. The Battle Hymn of the Republic tells that story quite well. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. Are you in God's army? I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
Our Olympic Peninsula veterans served us. Now it's our turn to serve them. Sarge's Veteran Support provides housing and hope for veterans throughout Clallam County. If you or a veteran you know needs assistance, we're here to help. Visit sargesveteransupport.org or call 360-374-5252 to learn more. Because no veteran should be without a place to call home. Visit sargesveteransupport.org.
Hi, it's Callie here from the Heartland on the Truck Route. My family is proud to have been serving our community for 3 generations. If you're tackling a landscape project, rely on the Heartline for all the supplies you need to make your project shine. Rock, mulch, soil to sand, we've got you covered, and your yard too. The Heartline is your connection for high-quality Deca batteries as well. Cars, bikes, commercial, marine, and power sports. 3157. Rely on the Heartline, top of the truck route, Port Angeles.
Your community-minded friends at First Fed bring you the Community Corner, highlighting good things happening right here in our area.
First Fed is proud to spotlight the Community Emergency Response Team, also known as CERT, as they stand ready in emergency situations. Made up of over 500 trained volunteers, CERT addresses life safety along with search and rescue operations and improving the readiness of our citizens to be self-reliant. You can join the Community Emergency Response Team by joining an upcoming class. Trainings are provided on the first and third Thursday of every month. All volunteer teams receive training in search and rescue, basic triage along with first aid, radio communications, and disaster planning. While experience is valued, it's not necessary. Consider joining a CERT team and do good where you are. Search online CERT Clallam County for preparation resources and trainings. CERT, doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people.
News this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump threatening to unleash more military strikes against Iran after saying that Iranian attacks signaled the end of the ceasefire.
Iran, they've misbehaved 47 years. They've killed our soldiers, they've killed our people, and they've killed a lot of people all over the Middle East and elsewhere. And the roadside bomb was their preferred, the preferred weapon was by Soleimani, the roadside bomb, where it would explode under a truck. We actually built trucks with floors, steel this thick, and then all they did was they made bigger bombs.
Speaking to reporters today in Turkey, the president did say the most recent exchange of fire with Iran does not necessarily herald a return to full-scale war. And the president says he's nearing a deal with Ukraine's president to increase economic ties and hopefully see that country bring an end to the war with Russia.
That's all I've done. My whole life I made deals. That's, I guess, becoming president was making a deal, right? It was like a lot of little individual things. In the end, it's making a deal. And that's what I do. And I do it well, and I know when people want to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal. And I do feel that President Zelensky would like to get back to rebuilding his country as opposed to, having all of this death and destruction.
And the president announced the U.S. will license its Patriot air defense systems to be made overseas for Ukraine. That comes as a significant boost for that country in its battle with Russia. Concerns in Washington and around the country about the health of one of the nation's top Republican leaders. More from Laura Winters.
Senator McConnell has been in the hospital now for more than 3 weeks since June 14th. The exact reason not disclosed by his office. However, McConnell's staff has said he continues to improve. McConnell has also spoken by phone with other senators, including Majority Leader John Thune and Senator John Barrasso. McConnell, who is 84, has had a history of health issues, including triple bypass surgery back in 2003.
And more from townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
A fatal shooting during a Texas ICE operation is drawing a lot of attention.
Authorities say a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer shot and killed Lorenzo Salgado Araujo in Houston during an operation after he attempted to evade arrest in his vehicle. The Department of Homeland Security said the shooting occurred during a targeted operation against the Mexican national who was in the U.S. without legal permission. The shooting has drawn calls from some local Democratic officials for an independent investigation. This is at least the 8th death from an encounter with federal immigration officials since the start of the Trump administration's intense immigration enforcement campaign. I'm Haya Panjwani.
It's soon going to cost you more to toss a letter in the mailbox. The U.S. Postal Service once again raising the price of their Forever stamps and other postal rates. Starting Monday, the stamps increase by 4 pennies, and that will now cost 82 cents each for Forever stamps. That's meant to offset rising operational costs as the post office continues to lose money. Breaking news at townhall.com. The president taking aim at Spain while attending the NATO summit in Turkey.
Speaking at the NATO summit in Turkey, President Trump is calling for all trade with Spain to be cut off.
Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore, by the way. I'd like you to cut it off. Spain is a terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate. They don't pay. I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please.
The comments come after critics have called out Spain for failing to carry its weight in NATO. Willie Nelson, Washington.
The effort to stabilize an under-construction high-rise in Midtown Manhattan on Tuesday expected to last into the night, and it did, but keeping streets shut down and buildings evacuated, officials still not sure exactly what's going on with the structure. A city official said the team that was sent in late yesterday afternoon had completed their initial assessment, and contractors are now trying to move forward with the installation of temporary shoring to try and stabilize the structure. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is the News Radio KONP Noon Report.
Outdoors live from the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Wednesday, July 8th. The Port of Port Angeles is about to make a major change at the Marina and Boatyard at the Boat Haven, assuming direct management of both facilities effective next Wednesday. Petrocard, which has been running the fueling and management services for both facilities, is out. The CEO at the Port of Port Angeles, Paul Jerkowitz, said in a statement, quote, "The port is committed to maintaining safe and reliable facilities while evaluating opportunities to improve operational efficiency and customer service over time." The port's communications manager, Michaela Fujita Conrads, told KONP that a new harbor master is being hired to run operations, and interviews are currently underway for a couple of employees to help. Marine services, boatyard activities, customer support, and facility access will continue without interruption during the transition, according to the port. The port plans to conduct a review of existing procedures related to billing, slip assignments and registrations, and marina and boatyard regulations. They said any future changes will be communicated prior to implementation. Clallam County commissioners weighing in on proposed federal changes that could affect how local governments manage and receive federal grant funding. During a work session this week, commissioners reviewed a draft letter to the Federal Office of Management and Budget responding to proposed revisions to the Uniform Guidance Rules. Those are the ones that govern federal financial assistance. County budget analyst Angie Klon says staff worked with departments across county government to identify how the proposed changes could affect local grant-funded projects. She says turning that feedback into a single letter required some input from the employees who manage those grants every day.
Trying to condense some of these bigger projects into a paragraph required a lot of back and forth with some key members of the granting teams to try to explain this to me, even exactly what this was.
Commissioners say they support goals such as multi-year grants and greater transparency, but stress that counties need predictable rules when accepting federal funding. Commissioner Mike French said local governments simply want confidence that if they follow federal requirements, they will receive the funding that they've been promised.
I think the big picture is we're saying we like the idea of some of the ideas that were proposed here about multi-year grants, about more transparency. We want certainty. That's the thing that, we don't want this to create a bunch of uncertainty and chaos and confusion. Just give us guidelines that will allow us to follow the guidelines and be sure that when we accept a grant, we're going to get paid back.
Commissioners directed staff to make some changes to the letter before sending it off. County officials noted the federal comment period closes next week and had already generated more than 80,000 public comments. A wildfire near Chelan has now burned nearly 10,000 acres and killed one person. It's also destroyed at least 19 homes. Authorities say the fire, first reported on Saturday, is believed to be human-caused and was 20% contained by last night. But strong winds and dry conditions helped the flames spread rapidly, forcing several hundred residents to evacuate. More news after this.
Organizations who keep it running. Sponsored by Dan Shappy, Farmers Insurance. Come see Price Ford when shopping for your next new or pre-owned vehicle. How about a new Ford F-150 for those tough tasks, a sleek Ford Mustang, or a versatile Escape for your daily commute? Price Ford has a comprehensive selection for every need and budget. Our knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect vehicle that fits your lifestyle and budget. Price Ford, next to Walmart in Port Angeles, or priceford.com.
Hi, this is John Holm, President of Tri-State Roofing, your local and family-owned company covering the entire Olympic Peninsula area. The difference with Tri-State Roofing is we separate ourselves with the quality of products we offer, customer service, including an A+ rating with the BBB, solid safety plans, and the best labor guarantees around. Call 360-208-2222.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
In other news, folks living in the west end of Clallam County will soon have a new place to license their vehicles and vessels, not having to drive all the way into Port Angeles. The Clallam County Auditor announced this week that a new licensing sub-agency will open in Forks August 3rd. Olympic Peninsula Licensing will provide the services as a private business appointed by the Department of Licensing and will operate as a county-contracted sub-agent. The company will provide title and license services for vehicles, motorcycles, vessels, and trailers. Customers can also renew registrations, purchase tonnage, file a report of sale, get trip permits, and disabled placards. Initially, customers will need to pay with cash or check until their credit card system gets set up. It'll be located at 91 East Division Street in Forks. Washington State Senate Republicans are demanding an emergency legislative session to slash the state's sky-high gas prices. Tracy Ellis fills us in.
Senator Jeff Wilson says families shouldn't have to choose between buying groceries and filling their tanks.
These are really tough times for just about everybody in the state of Washington when it comes to providing for their families and just getting around with their day-to-day lives.
The Longview Republican and many of his Senate colleagues are calling on Governor Ferguson to bring legislators back to Olympia for a special session.
So that we can actually take some action. Let's consider doing the right thing on behalf of everybody. Let's go back to work for a little bit and give some economic relief.
Wilson says state policies have pushed pump prices $1.25 over the national average. In Olympia, I'm Tracy Ellis.
New survey from the National Federation of Independent Business finds Washington small business owners remain less optimistic than those across the rest of the country. The group's Small Business Optimism Index ranked Washington 4 points below the national average now. Many owners citing labor costs, hiring challenges, and the uncertainty about expanding their businesses. 19% of Washington respondents identified labor costs as their biggest concern. That's more than double the national rate. Business advocates say rising costs and new state taxes are adding big pressure, while Democratic lawmakers argue recent tax reforms will ultimately reduce taxes for many small businesses and improve the business climate. Those tax changes, however, are not expected to take effect until 3 years from now and could still face legal and voter challenges. Federal officials are warning Washington state election leaders they could face criminal prosecution if they fail to prevent non-citizens from voting in federal elections. Assistant U.S. Attorney General Harmeet Dillon sent a letter yesterday to State Secretary of State Steve Hobbs and elections officials in several other states. The letter gives Washington 5 days to explain how it complies with federal laws prohibiting non-citizens from voting and warns officials could be held liable personally if they knowingly allow ineligible voters to remain on voter rolls or receive ballots. Hobbs says his office is reviewing the request to determine its legality, but criticized what he called federal threats against the election administrators. The warning comes amid an ongoing Justice Department lawsuit seeking access to Washington state's voter records. Hobbs says election professionals remain committed to conducting elections that are accessible, accurate, and auditable under state law. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson is proposing new rules in the state's largest city aimed at reducing rental costs by banning what the city calls junk fees. The proposal would require landlords in Seattle to clearly disclose standard housing costs in their rental listings and applications, while prohibiting charges such as pet rent, mail service fees, common area fees, or fees for paying by check or money order. Landlord groups support the transparency requirements, but argue eliminating some fees could lead to higher rents overall. That is, property owners try to recover their costs. Seattle City Council expected to begin considering the proposals later this month. This is News Radio KONP.
When caring for someone you love, it's important for you to take time to rest. At Dungeness Court Memory Care, our overnight respite care offers peace of mind in a safe, family-style setting. From overnight to several weeks, your loved one receives a dedicated caregiving staff, 24-hour on-site nursing, meals, and calming activities, with all-inclusive rates starting at $325 per night. No long-term commitment, just loving care when you need it most. Call Dungeness Court Memory Care at 360-582-9309 today.
Are you looking for a new spiritual home? Come visit us at Unity in the Olympics. We are a new thought community, open and welcome to all spiritual denominations and paths. No judging, no penalties, just love, growth, and maybe a donut. Unity in the Olympics. Diverse in members, inclusive in love. Join us every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., 2917 East Myrtle Street in Port Angeles. We look forward to seeing you there.
Looking for the perfect summer day trip? Sail away to Victoria, BC with Black Ball Ferry Line and experience the beauty of the Butchart Gardens, featuring 55 acres of blooming garden displays. Day trip packages from only $126 per person include ferry, the Butchart Gardens admission, and round-trip shuttle transportation. Plus, add on a traditional afternoon tea experience in the original Butchart family residence. Embark on your next adventure with Black Ball Ferry Line. Visit cohoferry.com today.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 65. Winds out of the northwest, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy again tonight, lows dip down to about 50. Daytime highs approaching 64 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Temperatures below average Friday and Saturday, with highs in the low 60s. Scattered showers possible both days. Looking at the long range, 65 Sunday, 69 Monday, and 72 on Tuesday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, 61.
Mariners and Marlins, 2:30 this afternoon here on KONP, brought to you by Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales. Now with the rest of the sports, we check in with Robert Workman.
Tuesday wrapped up the round of 16 at the World Cup. Number one Argentina came back from down 2-0 late to upend upstart Egypt 3-2 in Atlanta. Lionel Messi, whose first half penalty was stopped, booted the cross that Christian Romero headed in at the 79-minute mark. Then Messi himself knocked in the tying goal, his 8th to lead this year's Golden Boot race, and record 21st World Cup goal all time. Enzo Fernandez then capped the comeback with the winner in stoppage time. Switzerland then got by Colombia on penalties in Vancouver, so after an off day today, the quarterfinals begin tomorrow with France and Morocco in Foxborough. Spain meets Belgium in LA on Friday. Then Saturday, it's Norway against England in Miami and Argentina taking on Switzerland in Kansas City. Baseball, Ryan O'Hearn hit 3 home runs and drove in 10 runs as the Pirates torpedoed the Braves 12-4. O'Hearn belted a grand slam in the first inning, a 3-run shot in the third, and another 3-run dinger in the 6th. Royals overpowered the Mets 16-12. The teams combined for 32 hits. KC's Tyler Tolbert came into the game with hits in 7 straight at-bats. And he did it 5 more times, tying the record of 12 hits in a row.
This is a truly honor. I wouldn't say it's a me thing. It's one thing to celebrate together as a team because most importantly, we got the wins.
That record was set in 1902 and had not been done again since 1952. Brewers swept a pair from the Cardinals, 4-3 in the day game, 10-2 under the lights thanks to a 7-run 7th. Kyle Schwarber hit his league-leading 31st big fly. Zach Wheeler tied his career high with 14 Ks, and the Phillies defeated the Reds 4-1. Rays dropped the Yankees 6-4. Ian Seymour fanned a dozen. Twins topped the Guardians 3-1. Taj Bradley with 10 punch-outs. Tarek Skubal struck out 9. Colt Keith went deep, and the Tigers tore up the A's 6-2. Red Sox ripped the White Sox for their 4th straight win to pull themselves out of the AL East cellar. Padres topped the Diamondbacks, all of the scoring in the first inning, including Jake Cronenworth's 3-run tater. Rangers hung up a tie-breaking 5 spot in the 8th to take down the Angels. Rockies got 3 in the 8th to edge the Dodgers, despite Shohei Ohtani hitting his 300th career home run. Wins for the Astros, Cubs, Blue Jays, and Marlins. And at the Wimbledon in the quarterfinals, 7-seed Coco Gauff dropped the first set, but rallied to beat fellow American 4-seed Jessica Pegula 3-3. Men's quarters, number 1 and defending champ Jannik Sinner was a straight set winner, while number 7 Novak Djokovic needed 5 sets, 5 hours and 15 minutes to oust 3-seed Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime. That's Wednesday Sports.
Be part of one of the biggest and best events in the area, the annual Unity of Effort. The premier first responder recognition event features delicious food, amazing live performances, and a celebration of our first responders. Contact Security Services Northwest if you're interested in having a booth at this huge community event. Go to unityofeffort.org and we'll see you at the Unity of Effort Saturday, August 8th in Sequim.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Stocks are under some pressure. That's as tension between the U.S. and Iran flares up again and takes crude oil futures higher along with it. New York City building regulators say the conversion of that old Pfizer headquarters in a Manhattan office tower into residences must be paused while officials investigate what caused columns inside the building to fail. The Department of Buildings has issued a partial stop work order to halt all non-emergency construction at the site. The conversion's developers say the structural problem was confined to a small section of the project, and they're vowing to bring the project to completion on schedule. And Waymo says it'll begin offering robo-taxi rides in 4 new U.S. cities: San Diego, Vegas, Tampa, and Denver. As of May, Waymo's domestic fleet, already available in 10 cities, included around 4,000 robo-taxis equipped with the company's 5th and 6th generation automated driving systems. This report is sponsored by Vanguard Investor Choice, a proxy voting program for eligible Vanguard Index funds. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
Celebrate our nation's birthday now through July 11th at Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales. Save 10% on everything outside the store, including feed, pellets, soil, and more. Inside the store, enjoy 15% off almost everything, from power tools and garden supplies to pet products, jewelry, and purses. Save $250 on all in-stock mowers and tractors, and get free licensing when you buy a trailer. Leeds Farm Supply, multi-generation, family-owned, and proud to serve our community.
Your birth experience should feel like yours. Come meet the midwives who can make that happen. Meet Our Midwives is a free monthly open house at Olympic Medical Center, where you can get to know our certified nurse midwives, tour our birth center, and start planning the birth that feels right for you. Join us the first Tuesday of every month at 5:30 p.m. in the Olympic Memorial Hospital sunroom. Learn more at olympicmedical.org/Meet Our Midwives.
News Radio KONP. Traffic and roads.
Things, a little bit of volume out there for this noon hour. Nothing else more than that to report, but you can see a little bit of slowdown in the downtown Port Angeles area. Also, as you're heading east out through the construction zone there, just a little bit. It loosens up after you get through Morse Creek corners there. And then all green arrows out to Sequim. Sequim's looking fine as well. Heading west, we've got no real problems on 101 or 112. Heading out to the west end. Twin Canal Bridge set for closure in about an hour this afternoon, so take that into advisement. If you're heading that way, it could be down for an hour. And that is expected about 2 this afternoon. Ferries in Seattle running on time right now. No big problems to tell you about there. Your weather forecast calls for sunshine to continue the rest of the afternoon, mid-60s to about 70. Partly cloudy, lows in the mid-40s to lower 50s tonight. Partly sunny tomorrow, highs in the mid-60s to lower 70s. Right now it is 59 in Port Townsend, 67 out west at Forks, 61 in Sequim. Here in Port Angeles, out at Fairchild Airport, it's now 63 degrees.
Looking for the perfect place to enjoy your next chapter? Come tour Lavender Meadows in Sequim, featuring beautiful, affordable homes for active 55-plus living. Enjoy modern, low-maintenance living, plus pickleball courts, a community garden, and clubhouse gatherings.
Hey folks, this is Courtney over at Lavender Meadows. We hope to see you soon to check out our 8 new floor plans. Don't forget to ask us about our lease-to-own options.
Come home to Lavender Meadows. Visit lavendermeadowsmhc.com.
The JFFA Free Summer Concerts on the Pier brings you live music at the Port Angeles City Pier every Wednesday night. Join us for some of music's brightest performers in a setting unlike anywhere else. An eclectic mix of musicians, youth activities, and an expanded beer and wine garden will help keep you cool while the music heats up your night. Come together for the Free Summer Concerts on the Pier, tonight and every Wednesday night at the Port Angeles City Pier. Go to jffa.org for details.
Do you have an old wood stove or fireplace insert you'd like to remove? Orca offers financial incentives to get rid of those smoky old burners. Receive $500 just to recycle an old wood stove and get up to $2,200 if you convert to an electric heat pump, ducted or ductless. and $1,000 if you replace that old wood burner with a pellet stove or electric fireplace. Visit orca.org for more details. That's ORCAA.org.
Well, scientists may have uncovered an unexpected clue to how pigeons find their way home. A new study published in the journal Science suggests iron-rich immune cells in a pigeon's liver helps the birds detect the Earth's magnetic field. Researchers found that when those cells were temporarily removed, pigeons struggled to navigate on cloudy days when they couldn't rely on the sun for direction. The cells are located near nerve fibers, leading scientists to believe that they may send magnetic information to the brain. Researchers say the discovery could help explain navigation in other animals, including some birds and mammals. Outside experts, they do caution that more research is needed to confirm the findings and determine exactly how the process
Apple
works.
spent 4 years quietly building what insiders called one of its most exciting products in years. Tiny cameras, powerful AI. Then with no announcement, word leaked that Apple hit the pause button on the whole thing. I'm Kim Commander with Improved Life Joint Support. My new stimulant-free, U.S.-made supplement relieves joint discomfort. Get up to 25% off plus free shipping at improvedlife.com/Kim. Here's the secret. Apple put tiny cameras right inside the stems of its AirPods. Why? To act as eyes for Siri. Look at a label, a street sign, a plate of food. Then just ask. Your earbuds see what you see, and your AI answers. It reached near final testing this past spring. Then a well-known Apple leaker posted one word, suspended. The holdup? The smarter Siri that makes it all work just isn't ready. And cameras living in your ears raise real privacy questions. It might have been spectacular, and it's one we may never get to try. Join a million folks who get my free newsletter every single morning at getkim.com.
You want to get outside. Take the hike. Keep up with the people you love. Move through your day without thinking twice about it. But if your joints are not cooperating, none of that comes easy. Here's the truth. Joint discomfort is not just one problem. It's cartilage wearing down, inflammation building up. Your joints are losing the cushion they need to move freely. Most supplements pick one of those and call it a day. I wanted something better. My son and I worked with a team of experts to create Improved Life Joint Support, and I'm so proud of what we built. 5 clinically studied ingredients that work together on cartilage, inflammation, and joint hydration all at once. No stimulants, no fluff. Made right here in the USA. I take it every day. Now's the time for you to start. Go to improvedlife.com/Kim and get up to 25% off plus free shipping. That's improvedlife.com/Kim. Keep moving.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Individual results may vary.
I'm John Tesh, and coming up, get ready to give up your bad habits. I have a 3-step strategy that will help you break those habits next in today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour, and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
Here and now, I'm going to share 3 strategies to help you and I give up our bad habits. They come from psychotherapist Amy Morin. Love her stuff. She wrote 13 things mentally strong people don't do. These are going to work whether you want to lose weight, save more money, or stop texting your ex. First, we should come up with a mission statement. We can drown out sabotaging thoughts with a mission statement we can repeat over and over again, and then write a list of reasons why you want to break the bad habit. When you give in to your urges, you're basing your decision on emotion. But you can bring yourself back to logic by rereading your list anytime you feel weak. One more step to breaking bad habits: create obstacles for yourself. I love this. Delete your ex's phone number. Don't bring junk food into the house. The harder it is to give in to a bad habit, the easier it is to resist it. Create obstacles for yourself. I'm John Tesh with today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
July is the first full month of summer, and don't you just love the longer days and warmer weather? This is Dale from Wilder Auto, and if you've been thinking about a new truck to pull your trailer or tow your boat, then we have some great options for you. From the Tundra, Tacoma, Titan, Frontier, or the Honda Ridgeline. And the acres of used vehicles to choose from, plus the Wilder Advantage, well, why would you go anywhere else? Stop by and check us out today, or 24/7 at wilderauto.com.
This afternoon on the Todd Ortloff Show, Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter will be in, plus local realtor May Graves, talking about real estate trends in Clallam County.
Join us at 1 o'clock Monday through Thursday for the Todd Ortloff Show on KONP. Information to keep you engaged in your community with the people and organizations who keep it running. Sponsored by Dan Shappy, Farmers Insurance.
The North Olympic Peninsula's news station. News Radio KONP Port Angeles Squim. AM 1450, FM 101.7 and 101.3.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Turkey, after meeting with NATO allies and leaders on the sidelines, President Trump spoke to reporters about Iran. He says the memo of understanding is over after Iran fired on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. responding with strikes, but the president says he doesn't think the war will resume.
The Iran war has been a tremendous military success. And, you know, I can only answer the question by saying they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. I was there for one reason, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I call it, we denuclearize Iran, and that's happened. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
In Utah, day 3 of a preliminary hearing underway for Tyler Robinson. He's the man charged in the fatal shooting of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk on campus last year. Robinson has not entered a plea. His attorneys trying to get the death penalty off the table. ABC's Alex Stone has more.
There had been indications that the state was going to play video testimony. They had said they were going to, of Tyler Robinson's former roommate and romantic partner, which then the defense had fought against because they wouldn't be able to cross-examine, being that it was going to be video recorded. But they indicated that they're going to be done after their 2 witnesses. So they may have decided they don't need to play that they don't have to put that out there and let everybody know what they've got with that, and let the defense know necessarily what they've got and what the roommate said to them.
Emmy nominations out today. The ER drama The Pit led overall nominations, earning 25 for its second season. And Hacks right behind with 24, breaking the record for the most nominations for a comedy series. Newcomer Widow's Bay landed 19 nominations. The late Rob Reiner nominated for his guest acting on the series The Bear. And Bad Bunny nominated for a Super Bowl halftime show. You're listening to ABC News.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-436-8220, 800-436-8220, or biglou.com.
There are growing bipartisan concerns over the status of Republican Senator Mitch McConnell's health. A spokesperson for the 84-year-old confirmed he was admitted to the hospital on June 14th, but there has been few updates. Now McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, is speaking out.
China, as far as we are aware, prior to this medical episode of McConnell's, her presence sparked a lot of rumor on social media. Frankly, a lot of this has sparked a lot of rumor on social media. She has now issued a statement to our affiliate, WHAS, in Louisville, Kentucky, and it says, in part, quote, the secretary was on a long-planned trip to China. During the trip, she met with a number of people, and then she goes on to say that, quote, the senator's health did not warrant an immediate return to the U.S.
ABC's Jay O'Brien. New details emerging about the Ohio family after 16 children were removed from the home due to deplorable conditions. 4 family members charged with child endangerment. Now one defendant, Gary Sider Sr., has been waived bail due to a medical issue.
The prosecutor today said that he is no threat
to the public, that he will be treated outside of Vinton County, because otherwise he would have been on the county's, it would have been the county's responsibility to provide for his medical care. As the prosecutor put it, it would have bankrupted Vinton County. Now, if he is released from the hospital from there, he will have a GPS monitor before this trial begins.
ABC's Alex Perche, Michelle Franz.
Home affordability. Yes, it does exist here on the peninsula with Mountain View Homes. Looking for a quality craftsmanship home at 40% less than stick-built? Call Mountain View Homes. We specialize in affordable homes with full-service land packages, dirt to turnkey, quality, beautiful, and an efficient manufactured home on the site of your choice. Mountain View Homes has 3 locations to serve you, including Carlsberg. Visit mtviewhomes.com. That's mtviewhomes.com.
Hello, this is Janine Cardiff with Century 21 Real Estate Center. As we head into summer, many people are thinking about what's next? A new home, a new investment, or a change in pace? Century 21 Real Estate Center is here to help. We're in a change as well. Same team, same local expertise, just a new front door at 1205 East Front Street in Port Angeles. I am Janine Cardiff with Century 21 Real Estate Center.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. 457-6600. Port of Port Angeles will take over direct management of the Boathaven Marina and the Boatyard beginning July 15th. Petrocard will no longer operate the facilities, the port hiring a new harbor master and support staff. Officials say marina services and customer operations will continue without interruption during the transition. The port says it's going to review procedures and look for ways to improve efficiency and customer service there. Clallam County Commissioners submitting comments on proposed federal grant rule changes. The county supports reforms such as multi-year grants and greater transparency, but says local governments need more predictable rules and assurances they'll be reimbursed when they do follow federal requirements.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 65. Northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 50 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 65 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Temperatures below average Friday and Saturday with highs in the low 60s. Scattered showers possible both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 65 Sunday, 69 Monday, and 72 on Tuesday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, it's 63 degrees.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
All right, going to start the show this afternoon with our monthly chat with Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter. Kate, thanks for coming in. It's always good to see you as well. Yeah, and lots to kind of cover. One of the things I thought we'd start with was what you were talking about last night at the City Council work session. It's middle of summer, so that means it's time to start talking about the budget.
Correct. That is true.
And last night was kind of a work session that kicks off that whole process where you kind of do a bit of budget priority setting and things. So rather than getting in too much into the nitty-gritty details of stuff, just maybe a bit about process and kind of what that means.
Sure. So we all started with a survey for leadership and council where individually we get to say what our budget priorities are. And then all of that was compiled into the presentation last evening and talked about sort of what are the council priorities that are things that, I mean, sometimes you get a little more information in the work session and I feel like, well, I would like to talk about it for another few hours and then conclude, but we can't do that. And we know what we hear about from our constituents and the things that we have talked about over the year. And so just an opportunity, sort of the first touch for council to set some policy direction or give any indication that things as they have been, that we want to see changes or anything like that. And certainly we expect the budget to be tight. And so I think well framed the scaffolding for if you want to add something new, we need to talk about what we're taking away, that sort of thing. I think it's a good place to start from a realistic where do we think we're going to be? Where are we this year? And then one of the things I asked that we might do is talk more about policy level priorities from a budget perspective when we do strategic planning, because we want to tie those things together anyway.
What I gathered from just the bit that I watched on the replay from it last night, I mean, you I think as a council agreed on kind of some of the same things that always come up, infrastructure, public safety.
Yes.
And parks actually kind of came up as one of the priorities too.
Yes.
Or recreation, I think, as well. That was what was combined out of those surveys you said. So maybe not surprisingly, it sounds like pretty much everybody was putting down the same things.
Yes, I think there were some, sort of nuanced differences in
somebody's
how
one
people
might
were
have been somebody
approaching.
else's two.
Right.
Right.
But I do, parks, I think, is one that we have talked about, but I don't know has risen to quite the same level as it did this year so far. And I think one of the council members, I don't remember who it was, so I don't want to misattribute it, and maybe it was more than one council member, talked about this idea that as people's budgets get tighter, they're less able to travel, they're less able to go spend money on things, and so the opportunities that they have in our parks become potentially much more valuable. And I think we see an increased use in our parks. One of the things I will mention later, but just throw in here, we have the state baseball tournament again this weekend, and so one of the council members was talking about how she struggles on that she has almost tripped on the sidewalk into Lincoln Park, for example. And so I think there's parks has not had any kind of an increase, at least not commensurate with other departments in the recent past. And so I think we'll have to be creative about how we problem solve those things. But I think there have been some other discussions we've had this year that lend themselves to a more thoughtful discussion about how we are supporting parks.
I'll let you speak to what you hear from your constituents, because you don't need to speak for the other members of the council, because you certainly can talk about what comes in your email or your phone calls. As you filled out your survey, I mean, what were your priorities on that list?
Yeah, I mean, contextually, the next thing we'll talk about, I think, is the sales tax. We've been talking a lot about hiring additional police officers. That is certainly the thing that I think we hear most about is complaints, frustrations, questions about why things are the way they are. Not all of those are things that we have control over. But I think certainly a desire for feeling safer, regardless of what the data shows. People have communicated a lot in the last few months, not feeling as safe as they used to in Port Angeles. And I think certainly just putting additional police on the street doesn't necessarily solve that, but it's certainly a priority that we have heard a lot about.
Right. The other part of the equation, we talked about this before we went on, and it also came up in the discussion last night, is we got to be careful how we pay for this, though.
Yes.
I mean, these are great ideas, but it is a tight budget. And I think one of the themes that came up, at least I noticed, this was about the affordability of things.
Yes.
We can't just keep raising taxes. You can't just keep,
Right.
We got to find a way to pay for these things and still make it so that people can afford their utilities, for example.
Right. Yes. And that's the trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I think there were a few things that we've sort of thrown around. So I hesitate to name them out loud here because I don't want someone to grasp onto them and then, we're going to do it. But there are some things that we've talked about quite a bit in the past. And one that came up that I hadn't thought about recently, but certainly was subject of conversation probably since my first year on council, is vacant properties. And I don't mean, someone did mention the snowbird, but when I think of vacant properties, I think what we were originally talking about is, someone inherits a house, they live in California, their parents were here, and now the house, like the house on the corner for me, was empty. It's being refurbished right now for a family to live in, which is great.
But
it was empty has been empty until this year, since 2019. And there's no, I think the market is potentially a carrot for someone to do something with the property. Certainly we need rentals. So I think potentially little things like that could add up to some options. And I think we'll continue to press the legislature to also think creatively about what kind of tools they give us and how they might fund some of the things that we need.
Okay. Your first blush feeling, that first presentation really back from city staff as of last night as you move into budget time.
Yeah, well, I think it could be better and it could be a whole lot worse. So I think we are cautiously optimistic. One other thing that I should mention, because it was a theme that came up quite a bit, and it might have been at a time you weren't listening, is a potential, just an agreement, at least a few council members, and I don't remember if it was one we had consensus on, willing to discuss potential use, strategic use of debt to help.
Which is a conversation that has not come up for a while, because there's been a concerted effort to take down debt. Yeah.
One of our council priorities since I've been on council is no new debt, which really particularly then made a whole lot of sense, because we were pretty close to coming down the tip of a mountain of debt, particularly for the combined sewer overflow.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of that was driven by one specific thing.
Yes, and I think it's a great cautionary tale potentially for what happens when you don't take advantage of very low interest municipalities. It's not necessarily fully funded, but there are funds available, loan funds available to municipalities for infrastructure type projects at a really low interest rate. And so, as one of the council members mentioned, sometimes the cost of putting something off is more than the cost of the interest. And so doing a more thoughtful look at whether we might be at that place now with some of our streets and sewers and wastewater and all of our infrastructure.
All right. Interesting. Okay. A new nuance has wrinkled up somewhat, right?
Sort of. Well, we've seen all the studies now, and we know how desperately we need, how much money we need to be putting in to get us to to being good, and not be chasing emergencies. And we have increased what we're doing, but we can't keep up with the pace. I don't think any city can.
And you got a century-old infrastructure. We talked about this. It's it becomes whack-a-mole in a way sometimes.
I think it's a good way to describe it.
Okay, related to this is something that's been talked about. I don't know, we touched much about this last time you were here or not.
I don't remember.
You may have had the actual hearing or first hearing on this thing since then. And that is this proposal. If people have been following, the city's taking a grant from the state to fund some police officer positions.
Correct.
On the back side of that, though, is a funding issue that you can then take. If you're taking this grant, you then can go and do a sales tax increase that would help kind of backfill this, I guess, after things are done, or just use for law enforcement as well. Where does that stand right now? You guys have not made the final decision
We did.
yet. You did? Okay.
Yes. So we adopted the ordinance last night.
That was last night. Okay.
Yes. So the sales tax came up first when we had a work session on House Bill 2015, which is the legislation that created the grant. That is an incredibly rigorous process, like all the other grants we get. But Deputy Chief Vieta put a whole lot of work into the grant. Yes, and as you stated, along with the grant, if we accepted the grant, we also were given the ability to legislatively take 0.1% for criminal justice. And so we had our first public hearing at the second meeting of June, and then last night had the second public hearing. We didn't have anyone speak to it at this meeting, but we did receive emails from people. It sounds like other council members were in the same boat, at least those who were there last night. I didn't hear from, I think maybe I heard from one constituent who was not a big fan, and everyone else who took the time to reach out said, I support you doing this. And I think, we want to be mindful of raising taxes to the affordability issue. And I will acknowledge that sales tax is a regressive form of tax, and one that we have pushed back on with the state we continue to have adequate non-regressive state tax structure as one of our number one legislative priorities. So they stop giving us options like sales tax. The reverse of that is from a policy level, when the state gives you an option and you don't take it, it's hard to go to the state and say, we don't have the resources we need. And so I think we're in this position of needing to take the tools that they give us, and we can continue to push for better tools. So in this case, the grant funds 2 years minus some startup costs like equipment and patrol vehicles for four additional police officers. And then the sales tax will cover part of that startup cost, and then theoretically the collection will be enough to then maintain those four officers going forward.
So when the grant runs out, you can continue to have these
which
officers.
is why they gave us the sales tax option, because the grant is only for 2 years.
Right. Was that a unanimous vote last night? Did anybody vote against
it was. We were down. Deputy Mayor Carr was not there, but it was unanimous among the people who were there.
One of the, and I know part of this debate was that this was, you were going to carve this into specifically only paying for law enforcement because there's options. You could just put that into criminal justice, if I understood right. And you wanted it specifically. Did that still land that way, I guess?
It landed a little bit differently than initially proposed at the last meeting, if people are following along. So where it landed is we amended the ordinance in the section that describes what the funding will be used for. It says that we will use it for criminal justice. I can't remember the exact language, but criminal justice related things pursuant to an RCW that spells out what we can use it for, which is a pretty long list. Some of the things we already do in different ways. We added an solely for the use by Port Angeles Police Department. So
it stays in that department,
correct.
Basically. Yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting. I didn't realize that was actually up for the vote last night.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes. So that so for people to, it is 0.1% of 1% will be only for use by PAPD. I don't see it the collection ever exceeding the need for the personnel cost, but if at some point it did, we could reconsider it and or also use it for something else. Of course, costs continue going up. And I just wanted to, if it's okay, take a brief minute, since we haven't really talked about it before, that when we often look at what are the costs versus different ways that we might be able to generate the same revenue. And one of the things that is, while it's regressive, advantageous for our community when we talk about sales tax is that allows us to spread that cost among also the people who visit Port Angeles and spend money here. And so it isn't just on the residents. And certainly the people visiting can increase. They increase the volume of people. And I'm not suggesting that people come and visit us and need law enforcement, but they tend to be more likely to drive the wrong way. And, so always appreciate that people come and visit. This is an opportunity for us to not have the entire burden of this on the residents.
Is there a sunset on this?
There is not a sunset.
Okay, so this doesn't have to be revisited again at some point. I mean, you can sunset it if you wanted to.
But it is not in the ordinance.
Okay. Let's change gears a little bit.
Yes.
We talked about Parks and Rec. Let's chat a bit about the day of play. I know you wanted to talk about this last week. We chatted just a little bit with the Parks and Rec folks about their big day set up on the 18th,
yes.
which is not this
Saturday,
weekend,
July 18th.
Next Saturday.
Yes, and I will sadly be out of town, but I also don't have young kids who particularly enjoy these, but it is also a National Parks and Rec Month, so there will be lots of recreational opportunities here, great opportunity to connect with your neighbors at those things, and to try something new. So just a few things that I'm just going to highlight from a list so I don't forget. Some cool stuff. Sports equipment swap at the library, which is such a great idea. I went through a period of time when my son was growing out of cleats before the season was over. And so having the swap would have been great. Mini golf and yard games at Erickson Playfield. And that is sponsored by Nick's Legendary Entertainment. He's going to be hosting that. free open swim at Shore Aquatic Center, farmers market planting station where you can plant a summer vegetable or herb. You can try rowing at the Olympic Peninsula Rowing Association, and there will be a concert at City Pier hosted by the Wanda Fuca Foundation. Everything is from 9 a.m. to, there are events from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. across the city. And if you go to the city's website and look for Day of Play, you'll get a handy map with a note of where all of the activities are.
And if you've got some of those youngsters that want to partake, you can do a little treasure hunt. And if you visit all the spots, get stamps, you can send that in. And there's a drawing for some really great prizes. I mean,
Yes.
we're talking like video games and stuff
And who
like that.
doesn't love a passport stamp?
Yeah,
Get your
exactly.
things filled out, your bingo card, and have a chance to win a prize.
So we'll cross fingers for great weather that day, and
Yes,
it'll be a lot
it's
of fun.
far enough after the 4th of July. It
It
feels
should
like
be.
we should be okay.
That's right. Yeah, you got it. One other note, let's talk about, you alluded to this, a lot of baseball coming to town this,
Yes.
starting tomorrow, actually.
Correct. And I just wanted to make a pitch, no pun intended. I know that at least as of yesterday morning, there were still a number of open positions for volunteers. You do not have to know anything about baseball to work in concessions. You really don't need to know anything about baseball to do pitch count. So there are a lot of opportunities to engage. It's really fun. The energy is great. And it's just a really good opportunity for us to show off our community, and really special for the kids playing to be the hosts of this tournament. So I hope that if you're wondering what you might do this weekend, that you would consider checking out the opportunities that are available. You can go to nobos.org. That's the acronym for North Olympic Baseball and Softball, and click on the volunteer section, and it will take you to the Sign Up Genius and other links for signing up for various things, and would love to have more representation. And just a quick shout out to some Rotary folks that I know are signed up as well.
Yeah, and my club has been deeply involved in this
I
thing.
am also signed up, so I'm not just
500
asking people.
baseball kids are going to be in town.
Yes, it's bigger than last year.
Yeah,
more
'cause- yeah.
teams coming, so really exciting. I don't. My son doesn't play baseball anymore, but we traveled for a number of summers, and having a tournament like this at home is a really big deal.
And this is technically the North Washington State Cal Ripken Babe Ruth State Tournament, I think, or something like that,
so
right?
they
I mean, this is a qualifier to get them into the next round to get
Yes.
off to what would be their World Series.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of fun. One last thing, kind of a sad note, I think, in some ways, but also a
for me,
congratulatory note. So
Yes.
you wanted to reach out to. There's a changing of the guard at the air station here at
That's
the Coast
correct.
Guard
So
Station.
tomorrow morning is the change of command for Air Station Port Angeles, and Commander Kelly Higgins. Just want to take a moment while I'm on the air to congratulate her on this next move, and to thank her for being a great partner to the city. We will miss her and look forward to working with the new commander when he starts tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, right. Literally, you don't get a day off.
Right.
You're in. All right. Kate, always great to talk to you. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
All right. We'll chat again in just a few weeks. That's Kate
Sounds
Dexter.
good.
She is the mayor for Port Angeles, and we'll be back with more. We're going to talk a little real estate after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Have you ever clicked get a quote online and suddenly your phone acts like it owes someone money? 20 calls a day, numbers you've never seen, and not one of them local? I'm Dan Shappy with Farmers Insurance. If you're tired of mystery callers trying to sell you insurance, try something different. Talk directly to a real local agent who actually lives here. No robocalls, no strangers. We are real people helping real people right here at home.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
And now a word from our friends at the Eagles Club in Port Angeles. They welcome new members every day. Be part of the club with some fantastic membership perks right now, like discounted cover charges for events, live music, discounted facility rental, a whole lot more. The friendly faces behind the bar will greet you with foods and snack options every day, and you'll always feel like you're right at home when you step inside the Eagles Club. They offer something for everyone. Poker on Tuesdays with a $20 buy-in. Just bring a member to sign you in. And stop by on Wednesday and experience the Imperfectionist Music Jam session. That's free with an Eagles member to sign you in as well. On Thursdays, pop on by for Barstool Bingo at 6 p.m. The sales start at 5:30. And Friday, the members-only Queen of Hearts raffle is up to a jackpot of over $30,000. $1,000. And every Saturday evening, you'll hear some live music from very talented local musicians. Sundays, they serve breakfast to the public, 9:30 till noon. Find out more by becoming an Eagles member today. Stop on by or call 360-452-3344.
Your battery is the heart of your electrical system. Be sure to check the health of your battery with the Heartline. The Heartline on the truck route is your battery connection for cars, bikes, commercial, marine, and power sports. My family and I love helping the community. We offer free inspections, testing, and free installation, and are proud to offer made in the U.S. Deca batteries to keep you moving. The Heartline, we're your one-stop shop on the truck route. Stop by or give a call, 452-3157.
In 1925, a news headline read, "Nothing in the Northwest to equal the natural golf experience." By 1926, veteran golf course designer Francis James turned Dalton Farm in Port Angeles into Peninsula Golf Club. Peninsula Golf Club took advantage of the natural fairways there, perfect putting greens, and natural draining system in a picture-perfect location. And today, 100 years later, local golfers and even PGA legend Byron Nelson believe that Peninsula Golf Club lived up to and went beyond those early declarations. Peninsula Golf Club is a true golf gem found right here in a most beautiful setting. And you're invited to their 100th anniversary celebration Friday, July 24th, so stay tuned for details. But why wait? Come visit Peninsula for a round of golf this week. The fairways are wide open.
Our Olympic Peninsula veterans served us. Now it's our turn to serve them. Sarge's Veteran Support provides housing and hope for veterans throughout Clallam County. If you or a veteran you know needs assistance, we're here to help. Visit sargesveteransupport.org or call 360-374-5252 to learn more. Because no veteran should be without a place to call home. Visit sargesveteransupport.org.
It's time for Your Port of PA Today. A look inside the port and share what's in it for you.
I'm Port Commissioner Connie Beauvais. The Port of Port Angeles is excited to bring you a look inside your port and share projects designed to attract even more business and jobs to our area. Did you know the Port of PA stretches well beyond the Port Angeles Harbor? The port manages 1,000 acres of property, including John Wayne Marina and Olympic Peninsula Gemstone. The tidelands to build the marina were donated by the John Wayne family. John Wayne visited the bay aboard his yacht, the Wild Goose. John Wayne Marina, located on beautiful Squim Bay, is a gateway to and from Seattle, San Juan Islands, and Canada. Its location, plus its top-notch amenities, makes it a destination for locals and travelers alike. Email hello@portofpa.com or keep up to date on Facebook.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The U.S. military says it's launched another round of strikes against Iranian targets in retaliation for Iran firing on ships in the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. President Trump warned before leaving the NATO summit that the U.S. could carry out more strikes. He also says he does not think the war with Iran will ramp up again. A federal appeals court in Washington rejected a request to set aside a lower court order keeping President Trump's name off the Kennedy Center.
The appeals court panel says the Kennedy Center's leadership has failed to show how the center's being harmed by a lower court order directing that Trump's name be removed from the facade. The three-judge panel also shrugged off the administration's suggestion that not calling it the Trump Kennedy Center will negatively affect its fundraising. The judges say the president and his hand-picked board have, quote, failed to support this assertion with any specific facts or evidence.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. On Wall Street today, stocks ended mixed over new Mideast tensions. This is ABC News.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 65. Northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 50 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 65 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Temperatures below average Friday and Saturday, with highs in the low 60s. Scattered showers possible both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 65 Sunday, 69 Monday, and 72 on Tuesday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, it's 63 degrees.
All right, welcome back to the program. Going to spend a few minutes talking with May Graves, our real estate pro, about what's happening in real estate here locally. May, great to have you on. Thanks for joining us, as always.
Hi, Todd. Always good to be here.
Let's talk a bit about how things are looking out there. You've been running a commercial here lately where you have called this a balanced market now. Is that still the case?
Yes, I would say so. We've talked several times about June in Port Angeles seems to be a high activity month. We've got more families and military coming and going. So June seems to be a good month in Port Angeles. However, in Sequim, the numbers are typically down in June. Those same demographics are not the same in Sequim, but what we are seeing is tons of inventory coming on the market. We do home tours with the association, so every Thursday in Sequim, they tour all the new listings, or not all of them, but a good majority of them. And we're just seeing notices like, hey, the tour's already full. You can sign up for next week. So there's a lot of inventory coming on right now in Sequim.
So is that going to equate to lower prices soon, or what are you thinking if you have to crystal ball this?
I think it's just temporary. I think we do see this a lot. So as things ramp up, like when people ask me, when's the best time to list my house? I usually tell them, hey, shoot for Valentine's Day. You'll beat the rush. There'll be a lot of pent-up buyer energy and not a lot of inventory. And so that works well. But then as, March, April, May, June rolls through, we get a lot of people that sometimes they'll wait and they'll say, let's wait till the yard is green, till the rhodies are blooming, till the cherry trees are blooming. And that's great. It looks good in the photos. But what it does is it sets you up to be right in the middle of the most inventory. So with supply and demand, we talk about months of inventory. If only 2 homes sell in your neighborhood, let's say every month over month, year over year, but there are 6 on the market, you can see how that is 3 months of inventory. You may have to sit a bit.
Okay, so still popular place for people to be doing real estate, it sounds like. I mean, it sounds like the market just keeps chugging along despite any sort of headwinds we might be talking about.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it's on loop here because I say the headlines are there to terrify more than clarify. If they said everything's copacetic, we're doing good, nobody would click.
That's right.
So they have to do things a little bit strategic to get us to tune in and listen to what they have to say. So I would say things are going as well as we planned. It's pretty normal. We're not seeing big gains. Since the pandemic, I would say we're probably only increasing 1 or 2% per year on average. We've had one year that was a gain of 3%. And when you think about people who get cost of living raises, hey, right. The housing hasn't gone up that much, not in our area. And I think we're seeing that actually nationwide. We've got I've got a lot of friends on social media that are realtors, thousands in other areas, and we're kind of hearing the same thing. I think, with the news and with wars and things like that, gas prices, inflation, people are really a lot more cautious.
Is our market, though, kind of unique, just the same, though, here? Port Angeles, Sequim. We've got a lot of people that kind of migrate here because they're retiring, for example. They're not necessarily moving for a job per se or something like that.
Yep, absolutely. I was literally talking to a seller. They won't be going on the market till September now. And actually, I'm counseling most of my sellers. Hey, if you're not ready, don't panic. You're fine. There's so much inventory right now. And we got to kind of burn through that inventory until it gets down to where the supply and demand kind of kicks in again. So, if you're ready, let's get you on the market. But if you're not, don't panic. You're not missing a darn thing. So she was saying, well, we really want to be on the market before August because all the school kids, they're going back to school, that first weekend in September, and we'd like them to be settled. And, at least for Sequim, that's not really a big push. Port Angeles, more so. We do have a lot more families, of course, in Port Angeles, but it really kind of depends. The advice varies depending on what type of home you have and what zip code you're in. And I like to think of it as who your avatar is. Who is the person most likely to buy your house? And what is that lifestyle when they're shopping? Sometimes it just doesn't matter what month it is. They're retiring and they're coming.
I'm going to pick up on something you just said. So if all say, so I've got a house, I'm thinking about selling. Maybe we're doing an upgrade. I'm just wanting to move on to something else. You're saying maybe I ought to sit on this if I can until September before I get it on the market, just so that I'll have a better shot at getting what I'm wanting for that.
Yeah, till the fall. That's a great strategy, but of course it's one that we want to look at. So, I've told you that story before. The people on Bell Hill who were wanting to list in the spring, I met with them in October and said, why are we waiting? We sell 2.3 houses every month on Bell Hill. There's nothing on the market. If you put on the market, you're going to get a buyer. They only had 2 showings, but they also had 2 offers. Both full price, one was cash. So they literally, closed that up real quick. But there's also, several of my listings right now have sold within the first 2 weeks, and then others have sat for a long time. So you got to know, price it correctly, market it correctly.
What are people wanting right now? What's kind of hot at this point? If you've got somebody coming to town, they call you up and say, "Hey, we're shopping in Sequim or Port Angeles."
It's funny because I can almost read their minds, if that makes sense. Port Angeles, they are looking for something that they're not necessarily wanting to be right downtown. They want a little bit of elbow room, but they also want all of the conveniences, employers, schools, things like that. But for Sequim, it's very different. They want what they say a little bit of elbow room. They don't want cookie cutter, which we don't have a lot of cookie cutter. We don't have a lot of builders that build the same house over and over. But they want, a lot of them want an RV garage, so high doors, high ceilings, and hobby space. They don't need a bunch of bedrooms in Sequim. They need space for hobbies, sewing, music, yoga.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Before we run out of time, just a couple minutes left. I always love to ask you this. Give us kind of one of May's staging tips right now. If I'm thinking about, maybe I've got some time, but what would you suggest someone do to get their house ready right now? Maybe they are going to put it on the market in the fall.
Yeah. So I tell them less is more for sure. So whatever you can do to pare down your personal things, like a lot of people say, I've heard over and over, take down all your family pictures. Well, that's great, but it's so much more than that. Nobody needs to see your teapot collection because they want to envision how they're going to use that space. So I say, box up everything you don't need that you're not going to need until, next season or whatever. And things even on the walls, if you've got 5 things on one wall, you probably just need one big thing on that wall. But that's what I call myself an orchestrator because I like to walk through and do all those things, say, hey, this yellow wall, if you could just take a can of paint and paint it back to, Builder Beige, that's great. Lower these pictures, get rid of all these plants, just put these 2 nice big plants, get the other ones, take them to your sisters, that kind of stuff.
All right. May, how do we get in touch with you? If somebody's out there wanting some advice, they're either shopping or selling, what should we do?
I always just say, pick up the phone and call me. I'm old school. Of course, you can email me and all of that. But really, my phone number is 360-461-1922. Of course, if you Google me, it'll come up everywhere. May at Real Estate Market Pros.
Perfect. May, thanks for spending some time with us. We'll do it again next month, all right?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. May Graves there, our real estate pro, with some advice of what's going on with the markets out there. And we're going to take a break in a bacon bit. It's coming up next.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Hi, it's Dan Shappy with Farmers Insurance. Ever call somewhere and get stuck in a phone maze so long you start questioning your life choices?
Press 1 to speak to a robot. Press 2 to be routed to the number 4 button. Press 3 to be disconnected inexplicably.
Yeah, we don't do that. We're right here in Port Angeles at 405 South Peabody Street. You need help? Just stop in. We'll look up, smile, and actually talk with you. Farmers Insurance, here when you need us.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Welcome to Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, Port Angeles Realty. This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight shines once again on our Clallam County All-Volunteer Disaster Airlift Response Team, known as DART. The DART continues to grow and refine their life-saving capabilities with annual intensive training of over 20 pilots with their own airplanes and 30 ground support folks. Our DART is the first and only fully developed all-volunteer DART in Washington State. As part of DART training, Grocery Outlet and Costco Wholesale have generously stepped up to provide non-perishable food items for our DART pilots to transport to our county airports, where the food is then donated to local food banks. We train to save lives when needed. Our website is clallamdart.com or call 360-461-0175.
Jumpstart your exterior home project. Give Tri-State a call. Are you thinking about a new roof, siding, or windows for your home? Tri-State installs GAF roofing products, James Hardie siding, and Pella window replacements. And right now, Tri-State's offering huge savings. Call today for your free estimate. 360-208-2222.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
Hello, Clallam County. This is Danny with Harper Ridgeview and Squim Valley Funeral Chapels. I recently had the opportunity to assist a very elderly but very energetic woman here in our county. She had in her possession her husband's remains, who had passed years prior. She sent us a letter asking if we could help her pre-need funeral and cemetery services for herself and her deceased husband. She'd been stressing and worrying for far too long, wondering what would happen when she passed. It was such a joy to help her finalize her plans. It was so easy too. She expressed to me over and over such feelings of peace and relief now that all that was taken care of. So let us help you today to achieve that same peace of mind by planning ahead, even if it is a simple plan. We're here to serve you. Harper Ridgeview and Squim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
And finally this afternoon, our weekly Bacon Bit. That's when our own Amanda Bacon sits down with some famous folks, talks about what's new in their careers. And today, David Thompson, the greatest living writer on the movies and the author of the new book, A Sudden Flicker of Light.
David, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm really good, and it's a delight to be seeing someone on the West Coast. I've been to places on the East Coast. I was watching Seattle last night. I was watching the soccer game in that great stadium you have.
Yes, it's quite a stadium, isn't it?
It truly is, yeah.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Are always scared going
here.
up there.
We're here to talk about movies. So, Dave, I have to ask you, what got you started at first in your love affair with movies? Because you've been writing about them for years.
My parents took me when I was 4 to see Henry V, the Olivier version of Henry V. And of course, I couldn't follow what was being said. But there's a moment in that story where the action breaks out and you get knights in armor on horseback riding across green fields. And I was entranced. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be a knight in armor. And then shortly thereafter, there is a scene in the film, I thought at the age of 4, where the French attack the English camp and they burn page boys who are sleeping there. And I was so horrified and terrified of this. I was screaming in tears, and my father had to carry me out of the theater, grumbling no end, because I was taking him away from the film. And I thought I'd seen the worst thing I could imagine. Decades later, I see the film again, and what I discover is it's two images laid on each other. It's a superimposition. The boy sleeping and flames. And the poetry of the connection had convinced me I was seeing horror. And I was so amazed and so confused by that for years, it was a big reason why I kept going back to films. I wanted to see how that trick worked. And, in time, I became someone who wanted to make films and then wanted to write about them and talk about them. So from the age of 4, a misspent life, but I've had a lot of fun with it.
Is there a genre that you're drawn to more than others? Are there movies that come out and you're like, I have no intention of ever seeing anything like that? Or are you just ravenous for all cinema?
Well, no. I mean, I don't like horror films too much, and I'm not quite sure why that is. I think it's because I feel that there's enough horror in real life.
Yes!
The genres that I love, I'm an absolute sucker for the Western. I love film noir. I love screwball comedy. I would say those are my favorite, and I probably spend most of my time watching films that broadly fit within those genres. But I don't know. I mean, give me the dark, give me the light, and it doesn't matter what I'm seeing. I love it. I just love watching moving imagery on a screen where I can't get into the screen, but what's happening on the screen gets into my head.
I love that statement. So in a sudden flicker of light, what are people going to read from your brain?
They're going to read a reasonably short history of the whole medium. And by that I mean the tiny films that began in the 1890s to the fragments of film that people watch today on YouTube or on their iPhones. We're sending movies to each other all the time. I'm looking at you sitting in the sun, laughing, and I don't know you, but I recognize you as a human being, and I'm interested, and I think the appeal of that, the charm, the excitement, the thrill of looking at photographs, and particularly moving photographs, it's an undying thing, and sometimes we live with real people, which is great, but we live all the time with images of people like you nodding your head. And I think we're suckers for it. And I'm not sure we should be. I'm not sure we should do it as much as we do, spend as much time. But we do, and that's in the nature of it. And I'm a complete believer in that system.
Is there a movie in recent years that you believe has become one of the greatest cinematic pieces? I mean, Citizen Kane is one of those ones that's always talked about as being one of the greatest movies ever made because of, different various reasons.
Yeah.
But is there a movie in recent years that you've seen that you think just absolutely is a cinematic masterpiece?
Well, I'm going to answer that in a way that may surprise you. I honestly think the screen experiences that have meant the most to me in, let's say, this century, I would say The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Babylon Berlin, Ozark. Now, people say, oh, they're not movies. They're not movies, but they are. Now, we watched them over a period.
They are. Those were filmed in such a way, yeah.
Absolutely. They're photographed, they're moving imagery, they're written, they have actors, they're movies. And they're so good that once we get started on them, we want to keep coming in every week in the old way where you actually had to wait a week. Nowadays, you don't have to do that. You can get the whole thing and you can spend a weekend. And if you really work at it hard in a weekend, you might see all of Breaking Bad. And Breaking Bad, for me, is a true epic about a decent man who goes wrong. And that's a very, very big subject.
Yes.
And, it's happening.
It's a compelling story.
All the time. And I thought Breaking Bad was as well acted and written and set as, say, The Godfather.
Oh, yeah.
So those are really the movie experiences that have meant the most to me in the last 25, 26 years, say.
David, there's so much more that I would love to chat with you about. I would love to pick your brain some more. Before we wrap this up, I do want to know what your guilty pleasure movie is, though. Is like, you're a man of cinema, you have great taste, you're a very sophisticated human, but what is the movie that you sit down and watch and you're like, gosh, I hope no one knows how much I love this movie and care about it?
You introduced a phrase that I think is so important. We should deal with the phrase guilty pleasures. After 85 years, I've reached the point of knowing that pleasure should not be guilty at all. And if I like films that are respectable and not sort of films that are taught and written about, I'm absolutely unashamed of loving them. So there aren't any that I'm hiding from anybody. I think my wife saw me a few days ago watching endless reruns of routines between Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, Dud and Pete. And I was rolling around in my chair with laughter at them. I have seen them many times. I still find them hilarious as ever. And so they would fit into the guilty pleasure time, except that I have no guilt about it.
Comedy is comedy, and great comedy still stands, right?
Oh, crucial. Yes.
Yeah. David Thompson, A Sudden Flicker of Light. Your new book is out now. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and I really look forward to chatting with you again.
Very good to talking with you. Thank you so much.
You can catch this Bacon Bit and all of Amanda's Bacon Bits on our website. Go to myclallamcounty.com, click on the Radio Rewind tab. You can catch all of our podcasts there.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Straight View Credit Union has been serving the Port Angeles area for nearly 90 years. The recent partnership merger with Great Northwest Federal Credit Union will bring exciting new products while maintaining the same team, location, and quality of service you've come to expect. We are anchored in the people helping people principle that sets credit unions apart. Federally insured by NCUA. Straight View, a division of Great Northwest Federal Credit Union, where community comes together.
Hey there, Don Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Make this the summer you start to relax and feel better right in your own home. During our All-American Soak, Swim, and Sauna event, enjoy liberating savings on a saltwater hot tub, swim spa, or sauna, with up to 3 years to pay for it interest-free. A soak or swim under the stars, a sauna after a long day. Celebrate feeling better today. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Come see Price Ford when shopping for your next new or pre-owned vehicle. How about a new Ford F-150 for those tough tasks, a sleek Ford Mustang, or a versatile Escape for your daily commute? Price Ford has a comprehensive selection for every need and budget. our knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect vehicle that fits your lifestyle and budget. Price Ford, next to Walmart in Port Angeles, or priceford.com.
Losing a loved one is overwhelming. Your mind and your heart shut down. That's where Drennan Ford Funeral Home and Crematory comes in. They took the burden off my family's shoulders and guided us through everything we needed to do. No pushy sales tactics or unanswered questions. They just held our hands and took care of everything we asked. That's why I will always recommend Drennan Ford for end-of-life decisions. They handle the hurt like no one else can. Call 360-457-1210.
Hi, I'm Mitzi Hazard, Director of Rehabilitation Services at Olympic Medical Center. If aching feet are affecting your daily life or your balance, join me for a free presentation on Thursday, July 16th at 10:30 a.m. at our Medical Services Building on 5th Avenue in Sunny Squim. We'll cover common causes of foot pain, why your footwear matters for stability, and how to properly test drive shoes before you buy them. Save the date and learn more at olympicmedical.org/events.
Your voice, your news. News Radio KONP, Port Angeles Squim, AM 1450, FM 101.7 and 101.3, a Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The U.S. military confirming it is carrying out another round of strikes against Iran for Iran's firing on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz Tuesday. President Trump at the NATO summit in Turkey telling reporters that the memo of understanding is over. ABC's Selena Wang has more.
President Trump had previewed that there would likely be more U.S. military action today. The president saying the U.S. would probably strike Iran, quote, hard again. We don't know exactly the targets in this statement. They are saying that this is in order to degrade their ability to threaten freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. But today we did also hear the president threaten to target critical civilian infrastructure.
In Maine, growing pressure for Democratic candidate Graham Plattner to drop out of the U.S. Senate race. It follows new accusations of sexual assault. Here's ABC's Jay O'Brien.
Under Maine law, Plattner has just 5 days to drop out to be removed from the ballot. State Democrats would then have 2 weeks to select a new candidate, but there's no exact roadmap for how that process would go. Overnight, the executive director of the Democratic Party of Maine saying Plattner's team has reached out, accusing them of trying to dictate the next steps.
Immigrant rights groups demanding an independent investigation into Tuesday's fatal shooting of a Mexican national in Houston. ICE agents are calling it self-defense.
According to his son, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo had been in the U.S. for nearly 35 years, working in construction. On Tuesday, ICE officers attempted to pull him over, but say that he sped away and then tried to run over an agent with his van. Hours after the incident,
Fight for jobs and education.
protesters were on the same street